Honi Harawira.
Mr. Chairman, kia ora tātou katoa e te whare. Mr. Chairman, I think it is important for all Māori people listening to this debate all around the country and watching these speeches on Parliament TV that they are very, very clear in their understanding of where this bill is at and what it will take for it to become legislation. We are currently going through the committee stages in the House, which is one of the last chances to convince the Māori Party of the error of their ways. And then after that, to the final reading, after which the Marine and Coastal Area Bill will become law. And I want all Māori to know this because the votes in this House during these committee stages make it glaringly obvious that if the Māori Party were to withdraw their support for this bill during these committee stages, it would die the death that it deserves. This bill is no longer about national, Mr. Chairman. It is about the Māori Party. And if Māoridom wants to see this bill end here, then I urge them to contact the Māori Party MPs by email or by comment to their website at maoriparty.com.
Point of order, Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Chairman, I think this member has one of the loudest voices in the Parliament, maybe excepting mine and Mr. Quinn's, but I'm having trouble hearing him because of the interjections from Mr. Hanare and Mr. Quinn. And can I ask that? I mean, it's not as if there's a healthy interaction happening. They're just right over the top. Can I just ask that you take some care of that so we can hear him? Because this is quite important.
No, there's no need for the member to speak. I will monitor the matter, and members who have been here through this debate will know that I've kept a fairly cautionary eye on interjections. They should be rare and reasonable. Honi Harawira. A point of order, Paul Quinn.
Member's speech, and he is addressing part two. He has not mentioned part two yet.
That's not a point of order. Honi Harawira.
This bill, Mr. Chairman, is about the Māori Party. And if Māoridom wants to see this bill end here during our discussion on part two of this bill, then I urge them to contact the Māori Party MPs by email or by comment to their website at maoriparty.com, calling on them to withdraw their support and let this bill lapse. Mr. Chairman, in speaking to part two of the Marine and Coastal Area Bill, I would like to note that while the bill says that it takes away from Crown ownership and replaces it with a no ownership regime called common space, in fact, it still leaves statutory authority with the Crown, thus continuing the confiscation of Māori rights to the foreshore and seabed, first established by the Foreshore and Seabed Act in 2004, by simply changing the title of the legislation in 2011 to the Marine and Coastal Area Bill. As my whanaunga Shane Jones rightly pointed out, Mr. Chairman, it is nothing but a legal fiction, a play on words to calm the fears of Māori people, but it is still a confiscation of Māori rights to the foreshore and seabed. Mr. Chairman, the bill that we are discussing tonight raises issues like those in part two, as well as in every other part of this bill, that less than 1% of Māoridom have seen, leaving hundreds of thousands of Māori people asking why the Māori Party hasn't bothered coming back to explain what is actually in the bill, thanking me for opposing it, and asking why on earth the Māori Party is saying that they are so proud to support it. And then, after all of the changes made through these committee stages, including the committee stage that we're discussing here, part two of this bill, in this House process, through the committee and the House process, we will end up with a bill that less than 0.01% of Māoridom will even see before it comes back to the House for its third and final reading. And that this will happen not just because National wants it to be that way, but because the Māori Party has given their full support to the final version of this bill being rammed through the House without Māori people being given any opportunity whatsoever to consider the consequences of a bill that will have long-lasting and probably devastating implications for Māori land rights. And that's why Māori people are telling me how angry they are and are desperately asking me why on earth the Māori Party is saying that they are so proud to support this bill. A question that I simply cannot answer. And then, of course, this bill ensures that the government will always have the final say in determining what customary title will be under Part 2, Mr. Chairman, which isn't what we marched for in 2004. And so, of course, Māori people are asking why on earth the Māori Party is saying that they are so proud to support this bill, and telling me how grateful they are that I am opposing it. And then after going through this Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, etc., when they finally get to see the bill, Mr. Chair,
Hone Harawira.
Māori...
Order. Point of order, Honourable Tauhenere.
Mr. Chairman, you ruled earlier on that relevancy wasn't a point of order. I want to suggest to you that under 107, Standing Order 107, it is an issue of order. And we have been told in this House many a time, sir, that we need to concentrate on what is before us, clause, part, whatever. So this is a general debate speech.
I think the point is a fair point, and I probably never explained myself particularly well. The member who raised the original point of order got up and made a statement, and such never asked a question regarding a point of order. As regards relevancy, it is an issue which is of importance, but it is one which I believe the Chair is monitoring at this stage. A point of order, Honourable Trevor Mallard.
To be sort of some further assistance, I think if members are bringing out points of order, it would probably help if they referred either to the standing order or the issue. Mr. Quinn didn't say relevancy, nor did he refer to a particular standing order. I'm sure that next time he'll get it right.
Look, I'm not sure that was helpful. I know the member might have thought he was, but I'm not sure it was helpful. Did you have a point of order? Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is, of course, open to the Chair to determine when there is repetition or irrelevancy which is relevant to the Chair's decision as to when he accepts a closure motion. I would ask that the Chair observe that there are new matters being raised by the opposition parties, Labour Party and some other parties, and that if one particular party is straying from standing orders, it doesn't mean that there are no relevant matters that are still being raised by opposition parties.
I'm almost offended that the member has to raise that matter with me. I take great care about closures. Hone Harawira.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Chairman, tēnā tātou katoa te whare. And when they finally get to see the bill, Mr. Chairman, Māori are going to see that under Part 2 of this bill, local authorities can apply for compensation at full market value for the loss of any foreshore and seabed that they may have under their control. And of course, Māori are going to be asking themselves, how come local bodies get compensation just by asking for it? But Māori will have to prove that they have held exclusive use and occupation of the area since 1840 without substantial interruption, and that the area in question was held in accordance with tikanga before they even get a look in. And they will no doubt be asking again why on earth the Māori Party is saying that they are so proud to support this bill, and again telling me how grateful they are that I am opposing it. And Māori will know that their own iwi leadership have withdrawn their support for this bill, Mr. Chairman, including Part 2, raising again the question why on earth the Māori Party is saying that they are so proud to support this bill, and again telling me how grateful they are that I am opposing it. And when Māori realised that of the 72 submissions from whānau, hapu, iwi, marae and Māori organisations to this bill, including Part 2 of this bill, only one supported this bill. No wonder they're asking why on earth the Māori Party is saying that they're so proud to support this bill when 95% of Māori submissions are in support of the position that I have taken in opposing it. And that is why, Mr. Chairman, I need to also ask, does the Māori Party know that under Part 2 of this Marine and Coastal Area Bill, roads owned by the government or anyone else will still be owned by the government or anyone else, but not by Māori, even if they win their claim? And if the Māori Party does in fact know this, why on earth are they telling everyone that this is their bill and that they're proud to be supporting it? Does the Māori Party know that under Part 2 of this Marine and Coastal Area Bill, any piece of the foreshore and seabed that Māori cannot afford to go to court to get back will no longer be common space, nor will it be held for Māori, but that it will go back to the Crown? No. And if the Māori Party does in fact know this, why on earth are they telling everyone that this is their bill and that they're proud to be supporting it? Does the Māori Party know that under Part 2 of this Marine and Coastal Area Bill, the Minister of Conservation is going to be the manager of the common space, and that the Minister of Māori Affairs will not have a role in that management activity at all? And if the Māori Party does in fact know this, why on earth are they telling everyone that this is their bill and that they're proud to be supporting it? And it's because of those issues, Mr. Chairman, that I know too that Māori are asking some pretty basic questions right now. Like, is this what Māori people marched for in 2004? And the answer is no. Is this what they voted for the Māori Party for in 2005? And the answer is no. Is this what Māori wanted out of the coalition with National in 2008? And the answer is also no. And is this what Māori expected out of new legislation in 2011? And the answer to that is also no, Mr. Chairman. And yet, Mr. Chairman, the Māori Party is saying that this is not National's bill, that this is the Māori Party bill, and that they're proud to be supporting it. Even though when Taururu Flower was asked who's running the timetable, he said National. When he was asked who wrote the bill, he said National. And when he was asked whose bill is this, he said National's. And even though Tariana Turia said about this bill that if we were negotiating on what is fair, just and moral, then we would have a very different outcome. Mr. Chairman, this bill is not the Māori Party's bill, neither is this Part 2 of this particular bill. It is National's Part 2 and it is National's bill. And it is not true to say that the Māori Party is proud to support this bill, because they don't. The Māori Party caucus supports it, that's obvious, but the members don't. I know because I received hundreds of emails, texts, Facebook messages, voicemails and comments from Māori Party members telling me that they're gutted by what their caucus is doing and they're leaving the party in droves over the Māori Party caucus's betrayal of this cornerstone issue for the party. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kia ora tātou katoa.